And we're live here. Welcome
Hey,
back, everybody. Hello, Joe.
Reggie.
All right. Let me just get this out of the way. A few sponsors here. We got Pluck Nasty Beer Bongs for all of your party and getting drunk needs. What was the other one? Monaco's bar stools, only the sturdiest for your drunken nights.
Yeah.
And the Arlen Motel. They are not that motel anymore.
I like what you did there, bringing it back to the 110th. I love it.
Yes,
A little history lesson on the bar stool. Um,
not, not
it was in
not
the
not this YouTube podcast, but an actual bar stool.
an actual bar stool. So Reggie, when we were living in the barracks, I believe we were still in the 110th.
You know, I think the bar stool was the 411th.
Well, okay. So either way, you were in the barracks and I was over. And I remember we were gaming, probably playing SmackDown versus Raw, doing our normal thing. And obviously, we bought like a 20 rack of Bud Light, and we were pretty good about polishing about three-quarters of that in the night for a game in hardcore. And Reggie acquired a bar stool from one of the day rooms in the barracks. A day room, for people who don't know, is just a common room. Generally has couches, chairs. I guess this one had a bar stool and just a TV with a cable, if in case you didn't have it in your barracks room. So he acquired a bar stool. I was sitting on said bar stool, and I passed out on said bar stool. And stayed there for like 5 hours.
A quick
Um,
test out. Get an earthquake test and everything.
Reggie, try from this is just him telling me because I don't recall a thing. I remember on the bar stool and I remember getting off the bar stool, but Reggie tried pushing me off the bar stool with like a broom handle or something, and he says I didn't move.
Yeah, not even a flinch, not even a tickle, nothing. He just
The army, one thing it does teach you is that you can fall asleep anywhere.
putting a ball
Um,
leaning up against a dresser.
Whatever. I didn't fall. If anything, that was impressive.
Yeah, that was the most impressive part about it. You know, it's not like you falling off the bed of Wally's truck randomly.
Oh, that dude, I ate grass hard. Um, that was another drunken stupor. Um, didn't even get my hands in front of me. I just went down, and my face broke my fall. Um, I remember you and Leach. I think it was Leach next to us, and you guys just start laughing. You're like, "What just happened?"
We laughed, then made sure you were alive and okay.
I got back up though,
Once we realized you were okay, we started laughing again.
so um, and the pluck nasty. That's funny. You're bringing it back to um Pluck. She was a one of in our unit too, and I remember she challenged Reggie to a drinking contest. And now this girl at the time couldn't probably have been weighing more, probably like 130, 140 tops.
It lucky. If
But
she was 100 pounds, that would have been generous.
and Reggie, he was smaller then. Um, but Korea trained him for this moment.
Yeah, you have a 110 pound, uh, woman, respectfully, versus a solid 220 guy. Um,
And she's like, I'm gonna go beer for you, and I think she stopped counting after like six or something, and Reggie just kept downing, and it got ridiculous. I think Reggie probably had like triple the amount by the time it was all said and done. Uh, yeah, it had to be close to. I might be exaggerating, but you definitely had more than a dozen beers to knock her out, and you were doing it just to see
I
what you could do.
I was drinking before she even got there. They had to take. I forget who it was, but they had to take her home at like 6 or 7, and I was still going because I paced myself. You
She
know,
was just she got sloppy drunk real quick.
yeah, she was like, I got to catch up. I was like, fuck no, please no.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Um, Reggie's favorite liquor, not liquor, but whiskey, I guess. I remember there was a couple nights of the wild turkey.
Put tear in your chest.
Huh?
Put tear in your chest.
Yeah. Oh, that's some pretty fierce stuff. I won't drink it. Ooh. You had the one bad night where you had that nice bottle of wild turkey, and I think you downed it in a night. And I was just like, holy shit. Um,
We don't go there anymore.
no. No. That was a rough patch.
But anyway, moving on to the purpose of this little video podcast, blogcast, whatever you want to call it. We are in Cena's. The last time is now. We're coming to
Farewell tour. And he's
uh,
got I think he's got two matches left.
and you know, me not, I respect John Cena tremendously. I'm never a huge John Cena fan.
You never have been.
I'm a fan of the guy, not necessarily the character. Um, but I felt like what we should do a favorite John Cena memory. It could be
Memory and just like I think your favorite memory, and also like what he did for the business. I mean, he I think besides The Rock, I think you can compare John Cena to the popularity of like Stone Cold. And just like he's up there on the Mount Rushmore now. And I think you gotta have him there. For what he's done for the 20 plus years he's been involved in wrestling. Um, I'll get started off because I got a few memories. I think, I got a few favorites of John Cena. My first one, I'm gonna be corny with it. His debut. Um, where he came out. I think this is where Kurt Angle was challenging people,
Mhm.
and John Cena came out and not as normal. He came out like legit wrestling gear. Um, and Kurt Angle essentially in shorter words said, who the hell are you and how are you going to do it? And he said, ruthless aggression, and then proceeded to slap the shit out of Kurt Angle. Um, and I really think, going on a little tangent, I think that's my thing of when the ruthless aggression era started. I really think that was the moment. Um, how he said it aggressively, how he went after the top dog on SmackDown, which was Kurt Angle. Um, but just his debut, how he made that impact. And from there it was all up. He
And
never slowed down.
don't forget, I was gonna say there were some there were some slow times when they're trying to figure out what to exactly do with John Cena.
Right. And after reading and watching some podcasts, it was Stephanie McMahon that caught him. I guess he was freestyling and he said that should be your character. And that's how like the Doctor of Thugonomics was born, when he kept coming out every week doing a freestyle, a diss on somebody, including Stephanie McMahon. Um, Side note, Lucky Duck got to slap her ass. Um, I don't know if you remember that one.
There you go. Oh, yeah. Tell you what, little man burps with the best of us.
That's good. Um, but John, his debut and his evolution of his character. Um, Obviously, we know why he went to the hustle, loyalty, and respect. That was like the shift of the PG era, and they didn't want this hardcore rapper, you know, the vulgarity that he was doing, because we saw the transformation of John Cena. John Cena really led the PG movement. Um, and I think he was a bright spot of that because not a whole lot of people agreed with the PG era, me being one of them, because it's hard to create a storyline to keep it kid friendly. I think just because we're, especially where me and you picked up, like we're really big in the Attitude Era, really big in the Ruthless Aggression era, and then you're gonna really kind of ramp down into the PG era.
And now that I'm older, I kind of tried making a point to look at it differently in that regard. Of yeah, the Attitude Era will always be like growing up in the started watching wrestling in the late '80s.
So you're the golden era,
I
like.
started, started watching in the Golden Era,
I
but
caught the end of it. I caught the end of it. Like, when Razor Ramon before he left
see,
WWF.
I was in the early '90s when I really started watching, the New Generation era. Brad, Razor, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Sean, Owen, that the whole new generation where Vince and the WWF were trying to get their footing after Hogan left.
Right. Because that was hard. That was a shot. No one ever thought Hogan would leave. And same with, and they didn't know who the next top guy is. And, then Shawn Michaels stepped up to the plate. Bret Hart stepped up. Ultimate Warrior stepped up there too for a quick second. And then they thought Lex Luger was going to, and Lex Luger left. Not to get off on a tangent, but the history of, like, you had all these great guys that are going to take essentially take the baton from Hogan, and they all, minus Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart later on, obviously, for, who knows why he left. Um, it wasn't Vince McMahon spitting in his face and screwing Bret over in 1997 in Montreal.
Well, there was I watched a few videos on like more allegedly of what happened came to be, uh, of why you know Brett was in talks with WCW and trying to talk to Vince of, hey, I want to stay, but this is what WCW is offering, kind of thing.
Right. And it's a business. And it's a business. It's like any other person, you have a job, and there's nothing wrong poking around trying to find a better job, and that's what it is. That's what it's about. If you can better yourself and get better pay for doing the same thing, why not? Why wouldn't you do it? You know?
Exactly. But
Oh,
to come back to you know, the point, like as a business, if Vince garnered just towards our generation, eventually there's not going to be a generation to watch following us.
right.
So
And
you always have to keep it. You walk the line of keeping it adult enough that the parents can watch, but family friendly enough that we could watch with our kids and create new fans that way. We could always show you could show Kate and Maverick when they're older, the Attitude Era. I could show Lucas when he's older enough, the Attitude Era in ECW. But there comes a point like, do we really want to be showing our 8-year olds blood, violence, HLA, and you know,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
So I get
kind of going based off that, going back to the John Cena thing. I think that was one of the things, when he came to be into his first, you remember when he was part of that 2002 class of OVW, where he
yeah,
came in with Batista, Brock Lesnar, and Randy Orton. And remember, his character then in OVW was the prototype, and that's what he kind of came in as. But he dropped the name prototype. He was just John Cena, but his it wasn't his debut, and not people. I remember his debut because he slapped the shit out of Kurt Angle. Not many people remember that. You know,
is
Everyone
it?
remembers from him like his rapping, because that's when he really started picking up um his popularity. Um, and he's got to thank Stephanie McMahon allowing him to run with it. Um, because that they realized they got something with him. because mind you, in 2002 as well, Stone Cold was on the way out. Rock was in Hollywood, and you needed, you know, the next, not to take anything away from Brock Lesnar, but you needed the next big star, to lead the company.
And one thing I will say, and again, this is with respect to Cena and to Brock, um, Brock had never left. A lot of what Cena accomplished would have went to Brock.
And I agree with that. That's a fair statement. Um, you know, because let's face it, Brock Lesnar, he didn't have the undefeated streak like Goldberg, but that was WWF's Goldberg, or WWE's Goldberg was Brock Lesnar. I mean, um, it was I just with John Cena rising in popularity. Um, I want to go with ask you your one of your favorite memories of John Cena.
You know, sorry. It's okay, buddy. It's okay. There we go. Sorry about that. For me,
All it takes is a nipple in the mouth.
as soon as we come back, we try to find our way back in.
You know,
Um,
giggity.
oh yeah. Yeah, for me, Cena, like Lucas doesn't like to see that. Listen, roll with it.
um, I go with mine. Next one is his return to the 2008 Royal Rumble. In Madison Square Garden. Who knows that? Reggie knows he's been there. Um, that's like the world's most famous arena. A lot of history there. I'm correct in saying you've been in there, right?
I've been there a few times. Yes.
Okay. Um, and he was out on injury, and he came back and entered number 30 in the Royal Rumble, and that was the year that John Cena won the Rumble. It was just a huge pop. It was no one knew he was coming back besides, I believe, him.
It would have been a shock if you didn't know.
Right. I mean, but it was probably the people in the Rumble, and maybe not even that. Probably the last few, because how he came out, there was only a couple people left in the ring. You know, and that's when the internet before the internet started destroying wrestling a little bit. But that's a whole nother conversation. Remember when we wanted the inside scoop? You had to go buy the wrestling mag, and you took like it was like maybe it was true.
Yeah, yeah. PWI, and it's still a big thing. But going to the newsstand, you had the wrestler, you had PWI, you had. I think ringside did a little bit of it, but the two big were the wrestler and PWI.
Right. Um, you know, he's had a lot of great moments, great matches, memory wise, his return. Um, Another memory is how I think this is probably like 9 or 10 years ago when he had the open invitation.
Yeah,
Um,
that,
which I honestly think that was his idea. He pitched to Vince to give anyone a shot. Obviously, that part was controlled, but he's like, why not get these people a shot to wrestle with me? And Cena would do his best. Obviously, they didn't want Cena to lose, but Cena would get these people over.
yeah,
And I think he was really good about that. Whoever he wrestled, he was really good of getting people over and doing the job.
Now, for my favorite memories, now that little man's calmed down, um, you know his his debut, his big moment with Angle, um, his Rumble return. Um, one of my and again, I'm proud of this. I was never like a Cena super fan, but I always said I respect John Cena. Um, Suplex City, where it was like even I was like, okay, he's not looking like Super Cena, but there came a point where it's like Brock's going for another one and another one and
Yeah.
another one. Like, okay, dude. Now I'm like that got me on Cena's side. You know what I mean? Like it did its job. It had its purpose. Where I was like, okay, you know,
Speaking of Suplex City, it was like Brock Lesnar's final return, like his return match, right? At Extreme Rules against John Cena.
and
And
Cena's
that's the match, like going like it triggered me just because you said Suplex City, because John Cena like withstood like 15 German suplexes or something in that match.
was wild.
And John Cena wound up winning the match, but it was brutal. Like, and Brock Lesnar, just John Cena, you didn't have to get either one of them over. They were already over.
Yeah.
But they always tried to do it anyway, if that makes sense. Like, how can you get Brock Lesnar any more over? And Brock would think the same thing with John Cena, right? So why not, instead of suplexing John Cena 5 times, let's suplex him 15 times or something.
And it's like it adds to the lore of Brock Lesnar of him being the beast, right? It adds another little layer with Suplex City. And then it's like everybody joked about Cena being superhero. You know, now he looks human.
Right, but his go back, as he said, never give up, right? And
Yeah,
he had that on one of his shirts, and that match kind of solidified that, right? He never gave up in that match. He wound up winning.
and like it's a lot of my favorite like things I remember about Cena. It's like I was never a fan of the chain gang soldier friggin' gimmick, but some of his promos were absolutely friggin' hilarious.
He had a way with words. He definitely had a way with the mic, and it came natural for him too. You know,
And
that
I
was
remember
when
him coming
you.
full Buchanan, bling bling
Oh,
Buchanan. You know, I was just like, and then The Rock calling him Fruity Pebbles. You know, it's stuff like that that always sticks with me. And that I'm like, I can't help but laugh at. And it makes me like appreciate John Cena. Like he has no problem laughing at himself.
no.
Funny guy,
Um,
maker.
and one of my other favorite memories, and I think this should be a top memory for anyone with Cena. How many make a wish he granted? I actually think he owns the record. Um, can't say he wasn't there for his fans and he made sure, the Make a Wish thing. Um,
All the USOs and tribute to the troops. He was always there.
yeah, he was real big in supporting the military. He sounded like an overall like a great guy, right? I mean, he's done a lot for the business. You see now, like what the business does to somebody, and he wants the chance to still live life, um, while he still can, while he's still able to, and Um, and I can't blame him. He's wrestled for 20 years. Let him go out on his terms. That's why I really, like the next memory is like when he won his 17th championship. you know, to solidify himself as the GOAT. I mean, to have that much respect for a business to go, you know what? Yeah, he does deserve it. And a lot of people agreed with it. A lot of people disagreed with it because Ric Flair and the 16 championships. Um, but you got to give Cena his due.
Now,
Um,
with that, my only thing with that, like looking at it, um, I will agree in the sentiment that John Cena is the GOAT of this generation. Just like Hogan was the GOAT of the 80s and Ric Flair was the GOAT of the 80s. You could argue who was the GOAT of the 90s. Was it Taker? Was it Shawn or Brett? Was it The Rock or Austin? You know what I mean? Uh, the early 2000s, Triple H was the GOAT, right?
right.
Um, so Cena is definitely the GOAT of the ruthless aggression era of this generation, and I will never dispute that. I'll scream it from the top of the mountain. Is he on my Mount Rushmore? No, but that's not an attack on him or disrespect towards him. But to say the amount of times they say, "Oh, he is the greatest of all time," it's almost in the same territory as when they were pushing Roman for the 4 years. Well, I mean, it's to me, it's almost in that level. Like if you have to say it so many times for people to believe it, like would I put him above Ric Flair? No, I wouldn't. Would I put him above Taker? No, I would. He's up there with them, but again, that's me. And was it the Dudleys were on a podcast with Maven of all people, and I think it was Devon that said, "I can't call ourselves the goats, because we haven't faced all of the best." He was like, "We never faced the Road Warriors. We never beat the Road Warriors. We never faced or beat the Midnight Express. So how could we say we're the greatest of all time if we've never beat the best of all time?" But that's his personal definition of it. So,
Right.
has Cena faced Ric Flair in his prime and gone toe to toe? Could he? Yeah, I absolutely think he can. You know what I mean? Imagine Ric Flair in his prime versus John Cena in his prime. The promos alone would have been freaking glorious. But
Yeah, but it's also a different how wrestling has evolved, you know, as
okay.
well.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'll never take anything away from Cena in that regard. I just, the pushing of calling him the greatest of all time is starting to get into Roman 4 year territory. For me personally, that's just me. You, you say I'm wrong, that's fine.
Oh
But
no, no, no. Um, I think that started because he won the 17th championship, so they're gonna say obviously, hey, he's the best, he's got the most championships. Well, you don't gotta agree saying he's the best. I'm just saying GOAT in general, right? I mean, do I agree with the sentiment? He's a great wrestler. Um, I think, for what he did for the business, he rightfully deserved the 17th championship to give him that, you know, um way out. And who knows? Like there's still two more matches left. We still don't know his final opponent.
which is what I want to ask you, who you think it's going to be.
And we don't know. It could be Cody Rhodes, and who knows? Cena could win an 18th championship, and then, like he said, you remember what he said when he came back when he first won? He says, "I'm going home with it." Right? So is that gonna come to fruition at Saturday Night Main Event?
You know, and again, like I even joked, like is he going to go home with? I heard somebody say that they're due to redesign the IC title. Is that the title he's going to go home with? Yeah, and
They
then
did that, I think they did. He's going to drop that title, I think. Um, don't know how. Um, but they did that to make him a Grand Slam champion, right? Respect for John Cena, the one title he hasn't held.
which is weird that it took this long for him to be the Grand Slam champion.
Right, because I think it was more because he was because he, remember, he started off on SmackDown and, well, then it went over to Raw, but he was, the U.S. Championship belt is the same equivalent of the Intercontinental,
Yeah,
right? Um, and that was pushed onto him. So I don't think the opportunity of the Intercontinental Championship was there. And then at one point in time, remember, the two titles merged, I believe. Or no, I'm thinking of the European Championship and the Intercontinental Championship. Sorry, my apologies there.
yeah.
But I just think he's just pushed for the IC title, the US Championship title, while the IC title stayed on the other brand. So now that he's, now who is he going to drop the IC title to? I don't know. Um, it could be at Survivor Series. I don't know. If he's part of the 5-on-5 War Games match. Um,
I keep hearing like Gunther. Who that I keep hearing? Gunther and LA Knight.
well, I could see both of them taking the title from Cena, right? To get them. Not saying they both need to get over, but um, remember how long Gunther held the IC title before he finally dropped it, right? And how he dropped it to who he dropped it to, I didn't agree with. But what's done is done. But to give the title back to Gunther, I think he was a great IC champion. Um, and I can see it still with LA Knight, right? I mean, regardless, either one. Um,
I think LA Knight needs it more than
to get
Gunther.
that, yeah, I think the push, like, get him let him hold a major title for a bit, right? Let's see how he does. We already know he's over with the fans. Give him a title and let's see what he can do.
Yeah,
Um,
he did well as U.S. champion. I think. You give him the IC title. Like, it's like they're supposed to be equivalent, but everybody always looks at IC a little bit higher.
I think it's just the prestige of the title, the IC title, the history.
They
Um,
have great
uh,
history, but the IC title being the WWE title, it always holds a little bit more weight in the company.
where the US title came from, the WCW days. Same with like the World Championship, championship as opposed to the WWE Championship. The lineage, right?
Yeah,
Cody Rhodes won the WWE Championship because of the lineage, because of his dad, right? I don't think it would have meant the same if he won the World Championship title, or.
which would still be cool knowing that like he's holding the title, eventually holding the title. Basically, the successor, the descendant of what was the big gold belt. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
But I think, I could be wrong here, and I'm just spitting off at the tongue. His final match, I think it'd be cool if they thrust Cody Rhodes, John Cena, and Brock Lesnar in a triple threat for the title. Um, that way, I think you get both. You get both, and you get both. You get John Cena's final opponent, which I think a lot of people are pushing for Brock Lesnar, just because of the rivalry, the history they came up from 2002, and you also get the World Championship where Cena might be able to hold on to his word and saying, "I'm going to go home with the belt." And I honestly wouldn't be mad about it at all if he did, because that to me, like, damn, he held true to his word. And I heard rumors that they might be trying to redesign the belt.
yeah,
So Why not let Cena take the one home and they reintroduce it, right? And just like, who really loses at that point?
Yeah.
You know, you give John Cena the send off, you give him an 18-time champion, you give him, the final before they do a redesign and let him go off, let the cowboy go off into the sunset, right?
Now my final the Cena match that I kind of just out of nostalgia purposes. Because, like, this is my final match. I'm doing an open invitation, and first you hear Brock's music, then you hear Randy, and then on this day, fade
Edge.
away. His three biggest rivals from that generation, fatal four way. Yeah, to me, my personal thing, nostalgia, completely nostalgia, doesn't even need a title. You see them all go at it. At the end, they all hug. Current call to wrap. You know, um, that's just what I would like to say. I'm not saying it's what's best for business. You know, um,
Definitely a thought. I mean, I didn't think of it that way, but I guess I think you let Cena choose his final opponent.
oh yeah, he deserves that absolutely.
Um, because like I said, he's got too many great rivalry. The greatest rivalry. Obviously him and Brock Lesnar, him and Edge, Randy Orton for a short time. If Kurt Angle was still able to wrestle, you had Kurt Angle there for a minute. Um,
Baptista,
it
Baptista,
should.
Cena,
Oh, Cena.
and Argentina.
But it feels. Here I am, 40 years old. Um, and like what a part of childhood is closing. Because it's not going to be too much longer before like Brock Lesnar goes, Randy Orton goes. Who knows if Edge is going to come back. Um, and then all the wrestlers that we pretty much grew up with are retired. And it's on to the next.
Like, oh, excuse me. Yeah, they're already there. Where if Cody and CM Punk are the last two of that era. Let's be honest, right? The tail end of that era, at least.
Yeah, definitely. I forgot. I honestly forgot about those. Not forgot, but it just they came up in that generation, um, and
And
they're up. Cody Rhodes. I mean, Cody Rhodes is probably the youngest one out of them all.
yeah,
Um,
the new generation. The Seth Rollins, the Roman Reigns, the Usos. This generation is already in full swing, and they're all in their 40s. So it's only a matter of time within the next 10 years or so
that they're gone.
that they're gone. So, you know,
And who knows
only give them
how
a few
much?
more years.
Yeah, who knows how much Seth Rollins has? How many injuries he's had.
And then,
Roman, he's wrestling very, part time. It's you know, and I'd like to see like all the wrestlers, you know, pay tribute to him. Like they all come out, they all line up the entrance ramp on each side.
get
Allow Cena
um,
either down or back, right? After before his final match or after, right? I mean, it don't matter. Hell, do it both times. Um, because that's the last appearance. That's gonna be the last time. There's not gonna be the Raw following where they're gonna have the retirement like when they did Ric Flair right after the WrestleMania 24.
Which
This is Cena. Like Cena made sure that that's gonna be his last, and he's done with wrestling. So I mean, he says it. Is he gonna make any appearances? I mean, only he knows. Um,
I'm sure he's still going to come around. He'll the the color T-shirts and the jorts John Cena will be over. Now we're going to see suit Cena. We're going to be some corporate Cena. You know, um,
but I like this. The wrestlers, past, present, and hopefully some of the future ones, right? The stars, all come out and pay tribute to him after his last match. Um, because I think that's only right. I think that's when we're going to see The Rock again. You know, shake his hand. That's just that's my thought. What they should do. I mean, obviously they know what they're going to do, and we don't know what they're going to do. But you got to send them off. You got to and do it right. Do it. And everyone in the back should respect what Cena's done. Um, he definitely paved the way for the ruthless aggression era and the PG era, and started this new generation era. For them, and then he kind of sat back.
but yeah, it's like even I'll say it hits me seeing him for the last 23 years. I would say, yeah, because they came up with 2002,
Yeah,
2002, him maybe him 2003. Um, seeing them for the last 20 plus years, anybody that watches wrestling could appreciate who he is and what he's done, you know, and from the multiple championship wins, the multiple rivalries, the movies, the Make a Wishes, the banging one of the Bella twins. Yeah,
he's got a one up on us, I guess. Did you hear Nikki Bella wants to go up a size?
she's a grown woman. She can make her own decisions.
Well, no, I know. I'm just saying, just throwing it out there.
Like, I'm a modern man. She has the right to choose.
um, that's
But Nikki Bella, let's not turn into Missy Hyatt. All right, let's keep it reasonable.
let's keep him under control.
Yeah,
Let's I don't really got much more to talk about John Cena. I mean, he's, you know, I think wrestling's better for him for
agreed.
what he's done, and I hope he enjoys retirement, and able to do whatever he wants. Um,
Will you knock it off, Ripley? Huh? Ripley, will you knock it off? I know you're all about your brutality, but come on. And you pooped in the hallway even though you haven't put in the doggy door. Rat.
I gotta, not that I'm going anywhere, but I need to stack some wood on the cart to bring it in to fill up my wood rack here because it's fucking cold, or will be cold, and they're predicting snow on Thanksgiving.
Nice.
So there's that.
Got that going for you.
For New York. Now I don't know where if you live. If you get, I don't think you get snow where you live. Now.
No, we see it. But You have anything else to add before I hit the end button? And don't go anywhere.
Boobies.
Vagina boob.
You've seen that reel where John Cena's with boobies.
Fuck them kids.
But no, this episode's been fun.
It was a fun episode.
Um, you know, end of an era with John Cena.
Yep, agreed. And you know, John Cena, we all appreciate you. And for the
Even
record,
if we can't see him.
all
But yeah,
right. Thank you. Till next
thank
time.
you. Till next time.
And don't go anywhere yet. All right.
All right. I won't.